So, yeah, we heard about the governor on Saturday morning, which was the final day he had to decide it. It officially landed on his desk at like 11:30 on Monday. So he had 5 days, including Saturday, to get it signed or vetoed. So anyway, so the whole week been kind of waiting. It was an interesting week because Ron DeSantis was here on last Monday, asked to talk about a different issue, and with Governor Little sitting right next to him, goes, "Hey, I heard you guys pushed through his health freedom bill. That's really exciting." Amongst a few other things he listed, he was excited to see Idaho putting some good Republican conservative legislation through. And so that was there, and you could tell it was a little bit awkward on it. And I know this is not necessarily his issue necessarily, but also you got the whole Robert F. Kennedy thing going on these days in D.C. The Make America Healthy Again movement, that's big right now. A lot of the new folks like the health freedom stuff going on here in the legislature, plus the new people moving into the state, I would argue. And then rural Labrador came out on Monday and said, "Hey, I think this bill should become law," and I was excited for it. So, he's a big heavyweight in the state for anyone who might not know. So it was looking, from that standpoint, kind of good. And, the governor didn't call me or Senator Foreman. Foreman's the Senate sponsor of it. And, so we kind of thought, well, no news is good news, I guess, right? But we didn't really know. And then we got to Saturday morning, and Foreman gives me a call, says, "Hey, I just got off the phone with the governor. He's kind of apologetic, but he vetoed it and said he had a few concerns on it." And then the governor issued a press release, which most of you have probably seen. And in it, he says, well, there's the same language that was used in the floor debates, basically, that there's some confusion as to whether schools would be able to legally send home someone who has measles, lice, or God knows what else they might be infected with, that schools would be prohibited from sending people home. And which is just kind of a head scratcher here, because if anyone had bothered to watch any of the debates in the committee hearings on the floor, that issue was addressed. I mean, just to give some perspective, this bill is 2 pages. The one page is definitions. The second page is the bill. I mean, really, you could boil this bill down to one paragraph, because then there's just some exceptions. Well, we're going to exempt you for this, and well, we're going to, this doesn't conflict with federal law, and these sort of things we just put in bills to make people happy, but they don't really accomplish anything. So really, the bill is very simple. You just can't have any medical interventions. So it doesn't really address the issue at all, whether you can send someone home or not. It's silent on it, which that means that the current law would stand. Well, there is a current law. And I forget the number. It's like 33-512 or something. I have the number here somewhere, but I'll probably drop your call again if I try and play with my phone. So I won't dive into it, but I can get it to you. And there is a code that exists that, if a kid has an infectious disease, it's already in code. There's really no problem here. And it's so frustrating, because if he was interested in signing it, you'd think he might have just given one of us a phone call. We could have answered this very easily. It was a no-brainer, that kind of thing.
So well, that's great to know that there's another section of code that talks about sending kids home or something like that. So let's just gameplay this out. If the veto doesn't happen and you need to rerun this bill again, would it be as simple as saying nothing in this bill affects 33 dash whatever it was, because that if that's already, I mean, that's even this makes this argument even more weak that stuff was already in the statute. Would that be the way to go?
I mean, we could put some legislative intent sentence in there. If I had to rewrite the bill, we could do it. I guess at the same time, though, I mean, do we have to put every code that this doesn't affect into a law, or can we just have a conversation where you say, here's the law you're worried about, and it's already addressed. There's no need to put it in this bill either. So we could, but I'm kind of silly too.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and maybe that's the argument that people need to make when they call up their senators. We've got the numbers scrolling down below, folks. Call up your senator. Say, hey, the governor's issue with this bill is already taken care of in this statute and in another statute, and maybe we can get our trusty producers to find that statute. You said it was. Did I recall? Yeah, what is it?
So the Idaho Code, assuming I'm saying this correctly, is 33-512. 33-512.
Okay, 33-512.
And then if you go down to Section 7, It says to exclude from schools pupils with contagious or infectious diseases who are diagnosed or suspected as having a contagious or infectious disease, or those who are not immune, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it's right there. I don't.
Yeah, 33512. Fantastic. All right, folks. We'll pull a screenshot of that and read it out to everybody so they can see it as well. That's great. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Perfect. That's it there. I don't have my glasses. Yeah, we'll get it up there. 512. Perfect.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
In all the debate we had on the floor was you could, if you saw someone had lice in them, which is not even a disease really, but that's a different issue. But if you had someone with lice, you could ask them to leave, but you just can't require them to say, hey, you need to go home, take this injection, or use this shampoo, or whatever. The people still get to choose their treatment. That's all
Right.
we're after here.
Right, exactly. And like you said, you kind of pointed out here, which made me think about the Bill of Rights and even the Constitution itself. Our country was founded on the idea that when we write laws regarding our rights, they're like negative rights, right? It's the things that the government can't do. The First Amendment, the government can't restrict your free speech. The Second Amendment, the government can't take away your guns. The Third Amendment, the government can't put military into your homes, right? The Fourth Amendment, the government can't search you without search and privacy rights and that sort of thing. So this is basically the same thing. The government can't do medical intervention on you. It almost feels like this should be in our Constitution, not just our statute.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's that big, and I think that we need to get our society to a point where we basically accept it like that. Japan, for instance, I don't know if this is still the case. Years ago, when I was reading stuff about vaccine policy and so forth, I mean, Japan, they will pay for every vaccine that you can get over there, but they are very explicit. We will not coerce anybody in any way. We don't shame them for not getting it. They're very just sort of like, okay. And honestly, you build trust that way. And we have a big trust deficit with a lot of institutions, but particularly with our medical institutions here. I mean, the hospitals and with the trans stuff and the compulsory vaccination stuff. I mean, people really are pretty weary about them right now. And having it be just more free and open and transparent with RFK's working on, I think actually will bring back some trust there, which will be better in the long run for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then, I mean, what's your prediction? What are you hearing on the floor or in the halls when it comes to these senators? Or some of them, do you feel like some of them are going to flip from their no to help override this veto?
Well, I'm not an expert in the Senate. I've only been down here 3 months. Senator Foreman's the guy for that. I mean, he told me he's optimistic that he can get this done, and he's delivered so far. I mean, if you'd called me last year and said, "Can we get a bill like this for the Senate?" Then we can't even ban mask mandates so far. So it seems like a pretty tall requirement. So, I mean, he's the man, and I'm going to let him do his thing. I'll help him every way I can. Obviously, all the phone calls and emails people are noticing, and they're getting some pressure here. I've got a couple guys in the House that I think are going to flip if we get to that point. So I think we'll have more than 47 votes here in the House should we get another chance at this because of the pressure on it.
Yeah, that's great because we remember the story that broke after that vote that Representative Lori McCann sent out an email saying she was going to try and whip votes to sustain the veto. But you're telling me there's some folks that voted no before that might come the other way too. So that's good news.
Yeah, and so if somebody's sick or something happens or somebody does flip, if you've got a room for error there now, with another extra vote there. The Senate's tough. You basically have 20 votes there. You had 19 when it happened previously. Senator Adams was absent, but he's rock solid on the issue here. The original Stop Corona bill actually was his, as I understand it. And then, so that's 20. So you need 4. You get to 24. That's a lot. That's like that's 10% of the Senate, essentially. So it's not taken for granted, certainly. But there are some people I think to be moved over there. It's what the word I'm getting here. And I think just the public outcry on this thing, this issue becomes radioactive. I think some people are going to think twice about it. And I think they're going to see that the complaint against it is easily debunked.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Representative, any last things that just tell the people what they need to do right now if they're watching and they want to help some way. What can we do?
Yeah, phone calls, emails, especially to your senators, to get that going here. You can retweet things on X or Twitter, Facebook. Just get the word out. I mean, now's the time. The legislature's running out. We might be done in a week or so, but really, we need that override in the Senate like as soon as possible, maybe even today or tomorrow. So really, just asking not to hesitate. If you feel strong about the issue, now is the time.
Yeah, very good. All right, folks. Representative Beiswenger is with us. I'll let you go get some lunch, sir, and we'll check back in with you again.
Thanks, sir. Great to be with you.
All right. Take care. All right. I want to pull up. I want to pull this 335112. Can you guys link it to me so I can bring it up on my system over here? That's great. Thank you. But let's pull it up again if we can, and just show everybody that this apparently here is what will cause us to push back on the governor's veto here. There it is. The guys have highlighted it. That is line number 7. What is this title here? This is really big. District Title 33, Chapter 5, District Trustees. If you go all the way down to number 7, it says here, to exclude from from school pupils with contagious or infectious diseases who are diagnosed or suspected as having a contagious or infectious disease, or those who are not immune and have been exposed to a contagious or infectious disease, and to close school if the board determines that conditions warrant such closure, based on consultation with the district health department of the public health district in which the school district is located. So that's already in statute. This bill does not refer to this this part of statute at all. The Idaho Medical Freedom Act does not refer to this at all. So that part of the statute would remain as it should. If there is a huge outbreak of some sort of contagious disease at the school, they'll shut down the school, and we've seen that happen in the past before, but you can't just mandate. This is all about mandating medical intervention. That's all that this is. The Idaho Medical Freedom Act says you can't mandate medical intervention in order to participate. That's it. So I don't know. I think there's a pretty strong case here to be made. We're glad to see that out there. So, folks, call your senators, call them up, direct them to this part of the statute that says it doesn't relate to the Idaho Medical Freedom Act, and we'll go from there. So that's very good. So yeah, do your own research on this, folks. Do your own research. That's what we're here to try and encourage you to do at all times.